Hello everybody out there. Just want to do a quick review on a knife that I've recently gotten and done some work on. And that's the Ontario RD6 Bush. The main difference between the Bush and the regular RD6 is that this is just plain old 1095 and the spine is 3/16 instead of a quarter of an inch. And I got this because I wanted a Bushcraft knife that was reasonable price wise. I see a lot of guys peddling, you know, $300 knives. Well, not everybody can afford that. I mean, the Moores are great, but they have their limitations too. So this is a 6-inch blade. Although really your cutting edge is a little bit less than 6 inch. I don't remember exactly, but it's like 5 3/4 or roughly because of the finger choil. But overall, I really like it. But first, I'd like to start by telling you about the most boring part of the whole thing, and that's the sheath. A lot of people will tell you this sheath sucks. I don't know if I would say it sucks. It's got limitations. The knife can rattle around in this cheap plastic insert. It doesn't really have a lot of staying power side to side in your belt if you use a traditional loop. Although, I mean, you've got this nice molly attaching on the back, so maybe you could figure something else out with that. One thing I do really like about it is you can adjust your tension on these straps. So you can get your knife to hold in tighter so it rattles around less in this crappy plastic. Another thing I like is somehow this plastic seems to, whether because the knife is looser or what, it seems to dull the edge less than the K-bar Kydex sheath I used to have for the plain old Jane K-bar fighting knife. But other than that, it's an okay sheath. It's your standard kind of cheap nylon that a lot of places carry anymore, K-bar included. But it has this pouch here, which I have right now, a lighter and a ferrule rod and an Allen head key to do the handle scales. I think you could probably fit a pistol mag pouch if it was small enough in here. I'm not really sure. Haven't tried it. So that's the sheath. Of course, you can have your leg tie downs or something else up here. Not really sure what you'd use that for, but hey, it's there. And now for the knife. Now, this is not by any means factory. I stripped the entire thing from blade tip to crush pommel, and I did an acid bath to get somewhat of a finish. It's really hard to see. I have crappy lighting. I apologize. But the factory finish is kind of thick, and it was reasonably durable, but if you're A, going to do food prep, or B, you want to strike a ferro rod, the factory finish sucks. So the length of my mod's, of course, just stripping it, and a couple little grind spots on the spine, so it strikes a ferro rod really beautifully right now. Other than that, I haven't done any crazy grinding or anything. The factory grind is great. It's pretty sharp out of the box, but if you have a Lansky ceramic rod or something of that nature, it sharpens right up. It's really usable. You can come back down here on this handle and you have quite a lot of reach. I mean, close to a 7-inch blade knife as far as your reach if you had to use it in self-defense. But for finer tasks, you can choke up quite a bit and really do some finer things. It's really surprising. This section of the blade is really good for making feather sticks, and it's very sharp, and you got the choil right here. It works great. The tip is pretty sharp. There's no false wedge, so you get the entire use of the spine. The spine will not really strike a ferro rod good out of the box. Like I said, you got to strip it and just a little bit of grinding ever so carefully on the back. Jimping is reasonable. Not that I use it that much, but it's there, like for the feather stick thing. One thing about this, the tang is what you see. It's not like the Becker tangs. It's not skeletonized inside. It is one thick tang from this point all the way back to here, except for the holes for the attachment. I also was really impressed with the attachments. I mean, well, bolts. Basically, it's double Allen head, but one side is red Loctited into these brass fittings, which have the threads for keeping it together, and that's pretty interesting. I didn't think that they would use brass, so I was kind of impressed with that. And of course, I have this on here. I personally don't really use my knife for chopping. I have better tools called axes. But if I did, this is here. I doubt I would. I'd probably baton instead. I batons really well. Goes right through things pretty fast. I mean, as long as you're keeping within reason. I wouldn't do like a foot in diameter or any crazy. You know what I mean? I mean, have enough so that your knife's sticking out. Don't do something too big or too many knots. Don't go crazy. But it works pretty good for like medium-sized stuff. Like I said, it's got a good enough edge, thin enough edge to do feather sticks or game preparation or anything like that. It's big enough to handle self-defense or bigger tasks, but controllable enough to handle smaller things. I would still probably carry another smaller knife. I mean, I would carry a lightweight Mora companion or something else that would be a little bit smaller with me, especially as a backup, but still, I mean, if I only had one knife, I'd much rather have this than something with a 10-inch blade. It does have the crushing pommel, does have the completely thick full tang back through here. The only thing I would warn you about is the handle scales are kind of thick. So if you don't have big hands, probably should either paracord wrap it or grind this down to be something else. It's another profile, thinner, whatever you need to do. I have a little bit larger hands. It fits okay. It's got pretty good purchase. I don't think your hand's going to slip in either direction. Plus, I guess if you slip this way, as long as the choil catches you. But I think, you'd be pretty well locked in here if you really needed to be. And overall, I really like it. The 1095 holds an edge pretty well. It does definitely strike a ferro rod, although I have stainless steel blades that strike a ferro rod, so it's not really that difficult to do, but still, you get the idea. And just with a little bit of spine grinding and stripping, I think it makes a pretty good bushcraft knife. So, especially I got it for $59.99 and plus. No, I don't think there was shipping. I think it was $59.99 on Amazon flat, and I have Amazon Prime, so I think I got it for $60 flat. So it's pretty good. Pretty good option if you're looking for a medium-sized fighter or bushcraft knife or, whatever you need it to do, it'll do, I think. I think it'd be pretty tough. So that's all I have to say about that. Thanks for tuning in.